So today we're going to demonstrate what we call aseptic technique for sampling water for enteric bacteria. The first thing you always want to do is make sure that you have your gloves on, your latex gloves on both hands. Okay, so we want to minimize any external bacteria getting into the sample. One thing you're going to have to do that might be really helpful is to get some kind of a sampling pole or device. This is a quick and easy little thing that we use for picking up litter. It's not as reliable as you might think, but this works pretty good. You can extend your reach by about 3 feet, so that might be one of the cheaper options. This is a better option. Basically most of these you'll see are homemade, and this one is basically a pool extender pole, so you can extend it out, improve your reach a little bit. See, if you're on a bridge abutment or on a steep canal bank, these come in really handy, so you can reach way out and grab a sample. So when you get ready to take your sample, what you want to do is make sure the little plastic seal is off of the sterile bottle. Going to insert that in the pole or your holder. Hopefully you'll have one of these. So you want to make really sure here that when you take the lid off the bottle that you're not touching the inner threaded neck of the bottle at all. Okay, so we want a clean aseptic technique. Going to reach out. So what we're trying to do here is to avoid getting a surface scum or a biofilm on the surface in the sample. So we're going to start by inverting the sample vial like this. And we want to go down about 1.5 feet. Grab a sample, rinse. You're going to do that twice. And then you're going to take your sample. The other thing to avoid here is disturbing the bottom sediment. So you don't want to get anything in there except the water sample. You don't want any sediment in the sample. So you want to check out the depth a little bit ahead of time. Make sure that you're not trying to get the sample too far under the surface. Again, avoid touching the threaded rim of the bottle. Screw it back on, tighten it a little bit. Once you get your bottle, get your sample secured, you need to keep it refrigerated till you hand it off to whoever's going to analyze the sample for you. Also, when you label it, use a Sharpie. Use an indelible marker of some sort. Do not label the top of the cap, okay? So the person doing the lab analysis will have a acquisition number that he'll put on the cap. Please only label the side of the jar. So a couple ways to keep the sample refrigerated. If you're using crushed ice or cube ice, you should put the sample jar in a Ziploc bag, seal it up, and then you can put this in amongst the ice cubes or the crushed ice. What we're trying to do is avoid getting extraneous water in near the neck of the jar, which by capillarity can kind of move up into the sample. So we want to avoid that. That would contaminate the sample potentially. The other recommendation is, instead of using crushed ice or cube ice, use one of these artificial ice. This Nordic Ice product works really good. There's no leaking water from the product in the cooler. So really recommend using one of these if you can. Once you get your sample and you're ready to put it on ice or chill it, make sure that you record the time when the sample was collected. We want to make sure that the sample isn't in transport on ice more than 6 hours. So the protocol requires a maximum of 6 hours post-collection before we analyze it. We want to make sure that the sample form is completed. We have the areas highlighted that you need to fill out. You may not have all the water collection and water temperature data but as much information as you can get on this highlighted section is really good. You need to make sure you put your collector's name, and so we have an accurate chain of custody as to who collected the sample, when, and who received the sample, and who's responsible for the analysis. So the one information line that you'll leave blank, it's not highlighted, is the sample ID number. So Coosa Waterkeeper will assign the sample ID number so that it follows a sequence. It's just in-house accounting that we do to keep track of the sample, so that each sample has a unique number. And that's pretty much it.